Emily, there is a truckload of things I have questions for on you. You have a very fascinating kind of career to date in music. I am
Thank
going to
you.
start big. The Perth Muster, that was certainly, for me, it seems like a very impressive thing. You were on the main stage there. Tell us, first of all, about that experience.
Yeah, that was a pretty incredible experience. I mean, getting to play on a festival stage is always incredible and something I've only done a couple of times now, so it's always an honor. But yeah, to be in my home state, home city, and see how popular country music has become and be a part of something with these massive Australian artists was just like an honor to be on that bill and get to play on that stage and have that, I suppose, exposure. And of course, it's just fun. You're getting to do what you love. But I feel like stoked. I think I don't know if anything this year is going to top that. We're at September now, but I don't think I can top that for the rest of the year.
Yeah, that was huge. Like, even by normal festival standards, like, and the fact that it was country music, like, I mean, Morgan Evans was on the same stage, Travis Collins on the Becky Cole on the same stage as you.
Yeah,
Like it's impressive stuff. But even just to be on a stage of that size, like, there's bigger than
yeah.
some people's houses, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
Um,
It
but
was a
you,
little overwhelming when I got up there. I was like, how do I utilize this space? Like, I've got to run like a lap that way. I was like, I'm not fit enough for this, like
yeah,
to
yeah,
run
yeah.
from there to there.
But it was because there was a local stage as well. So I think what makes it even more impressive is to be one of the local musos, but not on the local side stage. You were on the main stage, but how it was impressive because I was in the crowd watching that. It was impressive to see how well the audience, I think, responded to you. And I don't know how it felt up there, but it looked like they were treating you like a very, very worthy main stage performer.
Yeah, they were a lovely audience, weren't they? I
Yeah.
feel like country music crowds, they're always very receptive and they're always very warm and welcoming. I suppose they were like I've been doing this now for over 10 years as a country music singer. So I feel like along my journey, like playing multiple shows every weekend, I've met a lot of people, a lot of country music fans. So I think some of them were there as well. But it was warmly received, which was always nice to be accepted because when you go out on stage it's always that first like 30 seconds where you're like, how are they going to take
Yeah.
me? But yeah, no, I had a blast.
Yeah, good. Yeah, good. But a little bird told me that you put together some pink hats, cowboy hats, cowgirl hats for the muster.
Yes.
Someone told me that they may have even sold out of them.
Yeah, I think it was a month before the muster that I got the phone call being like, what merch do you have? How many units do you have? Can you send all of this information through ASAP? And I had nothing. I had nothing. And I was like, okay, before I can even get merchandise, I need a logo made up. And this is something that I've just always put off on the back burner for years and been like, oh, I don't really need it. I don't really need it. But then when it got to something this big, I was like, I need it. And so I just went into absolute damage control over that next month, just ordering in merchandise, coming up with ideas that represented me. And I think my branding is quite like light and bright and fun and pastel. I wear a lot of pink.
Yeah.
It's quite positive, quite joyful, sunny. And so pink has always been like the color that I've gravitated towards and just anything fun like in my logo I've got like the boots or the hat or the disco ball. And look, I'm going to be completely honest with you, it was actually a friend that said when I was going, what should I do, what should I come up with, caps, beer coolers, keychains, things like that, which everyone has and which do really well, cattle tags. But it was a friend who was like, pink cowgirl hats. And shout out to Monty Cotton, who you might know.
Monty.
Yeah,
All
Monty
right.
Cotton, you gotta give him full credit, 10%. And he was like, yeah, the boys will love it. And I was like, the boys? And he was like, the boys. And I gotta say, ever since then, it is literally the men at most of my gigs that pick up the pink things and that wanna put it
Mm.
on. I think it gives them some confidence with the ladies, maybe. But yeah, so I managed to order in bulk these cowgirl hats, and then I found this kid, this high school kid who lives in like Marangaroo, who uses his parents' garage to print out vinyls of logos. I had the logo made up. Then I found this high school student who prints vinyls, went to his house. I was like, is this legit? Got the vinyls and then was heat pressing all of my merchandise with
Wow.
this stuff. So yes, the pink cowgirl hats did happen. I heard that they sold out, yeah, I think within like a half hour or something ridiculous
Yeah.
of the doors opening up. So my only regret with that was not having made more.
Wow. I love that. I just love that. I just love that. Now, at the Muster and at other shows, you use session musos, and
I
I'm
do.
fascinated by this. So obviously, session musos are people that you basically, you ring up, you book them, you send them some charts maybe, and you get them in. Tell us about your experience with using session musos. Why do you use session musos?
Yeah, I'm very fortunate now that I think I've kind of crafted a select few of individual session musicians, but I do definitely have times where they're unavailable and I have to get new people in. And yeah, for me, it's been quite a simple process. And I think that is because I am very, and I wasn't always like this, but now I am very, very confident on my own as a solo performer to play the guitar for everything, to start the songs, to finish the songs, to lead the band, to write out all my own charts, record all my own songs, send them to them. Like I know all my theory, I know all my keys, I know how to talk music language from studying it and having played instruments since I was like 7. So I feel like I'm confident in my show, and then these guys, if they're good, which they are great,
Yeah.
they can add into that, and it should just kind of work seamlessly if they've learnt what I've sent them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for me, it works really simple. Obviously, if there is like a big show coming up, like an original thing or the muster, then I would do a rehearsal. But most of the time, we don't even rehearse. They've got
No.
my set list, they've got my charts, they've got my songs, like, and it should just all work together, which it does. And yeah, if they're booked out, then I usually do try a couple of new people every year. And so it's almost like an audition process at the gig, really, to be like, is this person going to like slot in?
Totally.
Because, people go on tour all the time. Like the main guy who's for drums at the moment, Riley's about to go on tour for a month. So I'm like looking at my list and being like, who am I going to get in? But
Yeah.
when I do remember, and maybe this is a piece of advice, like when that band that I had for 7 years did come to an end, I would ask all of my musician friends, who are your favorite drummers in this city? Who are your favorite guitarists? Who are your favorite bass players? And I had like a note app in my phone of all these names, and I just like gig after gig after gig started hiring them one by one. And you find your people along the way,
Yes.
you find who you gravitate towards, you find who's a good vibe. And yeah, so yeah, I've had a ball, and like I say, I've got like a couple now of each instrument that it works for me and it works for them, because if they have to fully commit to me, then they're canceling out other work for themselves, so
Yeah.
if someone's not available, I don't take it personally, I just get the next one. And yeah,
Yeah.
ebbs and flows.
And I guess because your brand is you, right? So the rest is relatively interchangeable. You obviously, we prefer live musicians to a backing track or something like that. But you know, you may not have had anyone ever be like, oh, you've got a different bass player this month to last month, sort of thing. Like because you are the face of your music identity, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. And sometimes if I have had someone like there's a venue that I've had a residency at this entire year on Friday night. First gig went amazing there. And then the second gig, I came in with new players. And I think, and they did go, oh, but I know that if my players are good, there's not going to be any like problems. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
if I'm fully confident in them, it's going to be fine. And they're going to be just as happy. And they were. But like you say, like as long as my branding and my set myself is good, and these guys slot in, get the job done, add their magic sparkle, it's going to be, yeah.
Was there anything in that you found that you had to work on in dealing with a revolving door of support musicians?
In I guess the only difficult thing is like the time consuming aspect of it, constantly like chasing people up. Are you available? No. Moving on to the next one.
Yeah, okay.
Waiting for people to get back to you. Like it is time consuming. And also like you just learn who you want to be working with and who you don't want to be working with. Like if someone gets back to you within 24 hours, as opposed to someone who you have to follow up with 5 to 7 days later because they still haven't gotten back to you.
Yeah.
Even if they're exceptionally talented, I'm probably going to go with the person who is reliable, is punctual, and has a great attitude
Yeah.
over the person who's a bit, you know. So balancing, I suppose, personality types and attitudes can sometimes be different, but I think, and that's the other thing with session musicians is you're all spending a lot of time together. You know, you sometimes you're driving to gigs together, or you're spending like your set break time together, and um, you just, you know, it's all about the vibe.
Yeah,
I hate
totally.
saying that, but not everyone's gonna, you know, gel with one another, and that's okay. That's the way the world works. So I suppose I gravitate towards the good vibes.
Totally, totally. Speaking of good vibes, you've done a couple in particular of really impressive tours with some pretty amazing artists. So Adam Brand, who's like just one of the, you know, country royalty, as
Yeah.
well as Christy Lee Akers. How does one get on tour with Adam Brand? Like, how do you do that?
Yeah, that one I gotta be completely honest with you. I think he was recommended, there was a recommendation. He was looking for a support slot. Someone put my name in the ring, and then he checked out my stuff and he liked me. That's how that one came about. He was looking for a WA support act. So I suppose it always comes back to like who you know or who knows you. Are you out there being active, doing things, that sort of thing.
And so off the back of that, did you find that a gig like that with someone of that caliber, did that change anything for you, either by doing a gig with that person and how you perform, or for what doors opened up for you?
100% actually. It completely changed the way I performed. I remember I was practicing just in the living room for this tour. And I had this image in my head that like I would come out on stage, people would be like, it'd be like a big venue, people would be sitting down. I was the support slot. I'd tell them what my songs were about. Like I had these little spiels written
Yeah,
before
yeah.
each song, like it was really cute in my head. And then the first gig, I went out on that stage and there was nobody sitting down. It was a full packed venue, but they were right up to the stage. They were drinking. A lot of them were drunk already. They were rowdy. And everything that I had kind of rehearsed just had to
Yeah,
go out the door because they just give us the songs, give us the hits, give us the upbeat tunes, give us
yeah,
like give us the fun. I think I've had to really learn to work with what's happening in the moment and how the crowd are and the audience are in the moment, as opposed to being so perfectly polished in what I'm going to do, because that way you can't really go with the flow on the night of what's happening and be engaged with the crowd. So that was a bit of a wake up for me, and it also
yeah.
really introduced me to what a country music audience crowd is like, which is quite loud and rowdy and fun. And yeah, I do a lot of gigs up on mine sites as well, which is quite a male dominated area, and that's also, I think, prepared me well for like a country music crowd and just being able to
Yeah, right.
banter back and forth. And I think as well, like Adam, one thing that Adam taught me and that I still take away to this day as a female is that I need to play for the girls. Like it's not about the boys. It's like get the girls on my side.
My experience is that if you have a venue with a number of girls that are really into the music, pretty soon there's a bunch of boys that follow, right?
Oh yeah.
So like, and whether like people can interpret that how they like, but that's my observation, if you like. Um, but
That's exactly the mentality. Yeah.
but also credit to your resume, if I can call it that, the history and the time and the experience you've had to be able to react to whatever the situation is in front of you on stage. Like, you know, you like you said, you plan for something, you visualize something, and then you walk out there and it's different, or something different happens. Something that's probably less of a reaction, but more of a deliberate strategy or plan or situation is your social media. Like, and that's been building my, I don't know, I assume for a number of years, but you have a very impressive social media following across a number of different platforms. I'm going to read some stats out. 100,000 plus on the old Facebook, over 10,000 Insta, 17,000 YouTube, as well as the old TikTok as well. Like, there's some incredible stats that you've built. What's been the driver behind pushing that? Because I assume that's not an accident.
Yeah. I guess I started my social media journey back in 2013, so over 10 years ago now. And I think I remember that first year I posted a lot of YouTube videos singing like classic country, Dolly Parton, John Denver songs, and that got me a lot of followers on YouTube, and that then converted to Facebook. But I think mainly I've just been consistent with posting, and I personally quite enjoy social media. I enjoy sharing my life. I enjoy connecting with people, having community. I like posting things that I think are of good quality, like using a good quality camera, using a good quality microphone. And sometimes that's to my own detriment. And I think that some of the best content you can capture is more raw and organic, just using your iPhone and uploading. Don't need to mix any audio or anything like that. But I feel like I've tried to put out things that I feel like is good quality. I don't know.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've just been lucky along the way that I think as well, just getting out there. Like honestly, I would have played like thousands of gigs over the years, and I suppose you're just constantly meeting people as well. They're following you.
And
Yeah.
then off the back of that, does that help leverage kind of what you want to get out of music?
I think that now, because it's been, what day is it? Thursday. So tomorrow it'll be 2 weeks since I've released my song. And I think this is where I'm going to see, has it helped me? Because I've maintained that I've built this following. And I think when the time comes to me releasing music, putting my merchandise out there, and having, I suppose, a product or something for people to invest in aside from just photos or videos, um, that's when I'm going to see, like, has that translated,
Yeah.
I think it has translated. And again, like I think I'm lucky in that I enjoy the process of social media, and I think I'd be doing this even if I hadn't released a song for another 5 years. I think I'd still be keeping up and doing
Yeah.
this type of stuff. And I have quite few musician friends locally that hate social media and hate having to do it, and they feel like it's such a drag and it's so time consuming.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I think sometimes some people feel it's hard to be authentic, particularly if you post
Right.
regularly or whatever. But I think like yourself, I think there's people out there that actually their authenticity is sharing that story, and
Yeah.
and they use social media as their platform to do that. So that is their authentic way to do it. You now
Yeah.
you've mentioned your new single, A Little Part of Me. That's been out. Great track, very well produced. You have an amazing voice,
Thank
of course, which features on that very, very
you.
well. Tell me about like how does a song develop for you? Like where does it go from being an idea to, I don't know, a melody to some chords to hitting the studio? What does that process look like for you?
Yeah, for me, typically, usually I hear lyrics and melody together, and usually song creation with me, if I'm going through something, I'll just get a line in my head and the melody will come with that. 90% of the time they come together, or if I'm journaling and I'm writing it out and I can hear how it would go. So for
Nice.
me, yeah, and I just follow that kind of, I don't know, I just the formats, just verse chorus bridge if it needs it, slow chorus build back up. Like I feel like honestly, like I have the pen and the song kind of just like writes itself for me, taking that into the studio, working with a producer, getting it to be more the way that you want. This is the kind of thing that I'm about to get started back into, because I have so many songs that I've written over the last few years that are just sitting on my laptop that are guitar vocals. Maybe I've gone into Logic and done like a little bit of like programming and things, but yeah, I'm about to get back into the studio to figure out recording my new music again and how I'm going to go about it.
So this song, I mean, the way that I've interpreted this song, A Little Part of Me, is, you're speaking of an ex, and as a songwriter, I find it interesting sometimes there's a song that you find developing that may be sensitive, or you may find yourself there's a level of vulnerability with that, either
Mm.
for yourself or maybe for the people that you're around, your partner, whatever. Did this feel like a vulnerable song for you?
Yeah, it did and it didn't. I feel like having someone that you struggle in the back of your head to get over, I feel like is quite a relatable thing. And I've certainly listened to music, a lot of Taylor Swift songs that reference that same theme. Um, and so I felt like it would probably be relatable to people listening to it that could empathize with that feeling of what if time doesn't heal all wounds.
Yeah,
And
right. Yeah.
yeah, so in a way, I guess I didn't feel too vulnerable putting that out. But yeah, I don't know if I've answered that well.
No, you have. Absolutely. Absolutely. You've got your, your original work that you do, but then you also do like this Taylor Swift stuff as well. Like, where did that come from? Obviously, you execute that incredibly well, but where does that drive come from, and what purpose does the Taylor Swift show have for you?
Yeah. So major Taylor Swift fan over here, if you couldn't tell. Blonde girl sings guitar, sings country music,
Yeah.
either way. Um, I had been getting asked to do a Taylor Swift show for years by a lot of like the booking agents in Perth.
Right.
And I'd always said, no, no, like turning it down. I want to focus on my original music. It's a distraction. It's a distraction. Bam, 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 bam. And then at the start of this year, I was like, you know what? I love the songs. They're so much fun. I think it would be a fun thing for me to do on the side. I think it would be a great way for me to connect with girls who are also my target audience for my songs and my song content. Um, and hopefully, if they like Taylor, hopefully they'll like Emily Joy.
Yeah.
I suppose was also a bit of the thinking, but again, like I'm just a super fan of Taylor's music and her songwriting. So for me, it was just like, this is going to be fun and I get paid to do it. Like, why wouldn't I, in a way? And I think I'm definitely like a worrywart and an overthinker, like a chronic overthinker. So I had all these like negative things going through my head of like why I shouldn't do it and it's bad for my branding and things like that. But then I just stripped it away and I was like, doesn't have to be forever. It's just, I just want to try it and see how it goes. And at the end of the day, like we get so caught up in this, but music should first and foremost always be about having fun. And I was like, if I do a Taylor show, like I'm going to have fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I've really been enjoying the Taylor shows so far. I want to make them bigger and better though, as always,
Yeah.
and see how far we can push it.
Yeah. Speaking of bigger and better, I find it fascinating, and this is one of my favorite questions for musos is what's the goal? What's the path? Like, a lot of musos talk about, I want to be bigger and better, but not many people actually have, like a set defined path that they're going to do that, right? And I'm interested, do you have goals that you want to, so at the end of the year you look back and go, I ticked that, I ticked that, I ticked that, tick, I'm on the path that I want to be on to where I want to be?
Yeah, sure. Oh, there's so many things as you're talking that my mind's like, talk about that, we talk about that. Yeah, for sure I have goals and things that I want to achieve. Like for me, I think being recognized for my original music, releasing my original music, actually doing it, Emily, getting it out there, recording it. Because like I say, it's just sitting on my laptop at the moment or written in diaries. So actually recording it, releasing it, giving it a red hot crack and being recognized for that. Because I do, like, I play cover gigs to make my bread and my money to feed myself
Yeah.
and house myself. But at the end of the, and I love doing that. But at the end of the day, like to be recognized for my own songs and my own stories is first and foremost what I would love to achieve. And like I would love to tour more and play bigger stages and things like that for sure. I've had to do like a fair bit of work around in therapy actually around what success is and what it means to me. Because I think for a long time I was like, success is Taylor Swift. And if I'm not there, like I fail at life. And
Right.
so we've had to like kind of like not bring it down, but just like work around the fact that what I'm already doing is already good enough. And yes, I can go on and achieve like more, and I hope that I do, and I'm excited to do that. Recognizing like where I'm at, I've already achieved a lot, and that's okay. Like I'm living my dream today, right now as it is. So always wanting more, I suppose, is like but gratitude for where I'm at and what I've already done.
Yeah. I'd like to hope that you feel a level of success already, right? If you're like rattling off some of the things and looking at what you've done already is not just a goal, it would feel like a stretch goal or an unrealistic goal or such a far-fetched goal for so many musos to do the sorts of gigs that you do, the frequency of them, the sorts of music that you play, the way that you execute your music, right? With the polish that you do. I think I'd like to hope that there's a level of you that goes and you're allowed to be humble, right? You're allowed to do this. You're allowed to be like, yeah, there is a level of success you have achieved. So yeah, do you feel successful?
Yes. That was a long pause, wasn't it?
It
Like
was.
I'm thinking through it. I think yes. I think, like I said, like I've had to really work at this in therapy because I think sometimes people list off my accomplishments, like you say, for example, and I don't think it like penetrates me, like it doesn't hit me sometimes. And I think as well, like that's a lot to do with oh, like that goes back to like childhood and not feeling good enough and things like that. And so I think that's something that I like battle with, is to feel, yeah, I suppose to feel like successful as I am and with what I've already done. Like sometimes I don't recognize, or sometimes I feel like a bit on autopilot with when I get praise from people, like it doesn't tap into my soul, if that makes sense. But I think I like, again, like this is like why therapy has been good as well, because like she really drills that into me, that like I've been able to do some things that other people would like, love to be able to do. And I think as well, like thinking back to like my inner child or my younger self, and like I'm getting to do things that I dreamt of doing, like being a singer or whatnot. So trying to like keep that in the back of my mind. Like I have like a little photo of 10-year-old Emily up on the bathroom mirror,
Unreal.
and things like that, to just, yeah, to try and like feel that
Yeah.
that success internally, or that sense of accomplishment, I suppose.
Yeah. Because a really interesting question is what would it take, right? What would it take for if you were to say to yourself, all right, this time next year, what would you need to be doing?
Yeah, good question. I like am conscious of saying numbers or stats because I feel like people, we get something and then that doesn't feel good enough. And then you know what I mean? The goalpost is always moving, type of thing. So I guess I'm always conscious to be like, I want to achieve this or this or this, but at the same time I think it's important to like bookmark what it is that you would love to accomplish. Um for me personally, where I would like to see myself within 12 months is having released more singles, um, continue to play on big stages, potentially go over to Nashville. That's something that I'm always thinking about every day.
Did you go over there before? Did I see something? You've been to Nashville before?
Yeah, I've been there a couple of times actually, but I haven't been back in a few years. So tossing up that one.
Yeah.
Like I and then of course, like I don't know if you're alluding to like the big things, like if I was hitting like #1 on charts and like getting millions of streams on Spotify, like that would be absolutely incredible.